today we got to play the Artemis Project. It is a worker dice placement game. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you want to hang out with us.
Because we're cool.
Yeah. So before we get into quality pieces,
what
tell
else
us.
are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Tell us more about the game, Robert.
Artemis Project. This came out in 2019. It plays 1 to 5 people. Board Game Geek gave it a 7.4. Designers are Daryl Chow and Daniel Roche. Arts by Josh Capel and Dominic Mayer. Published by Grain Gamers Guild. Now the MSRP is $60. Saw it on Card House for $39.99 though.
Not too bad. All right, so getting into quality of pieces.
So I think we need to make sure that up front that this is a Kickstarter
version
of the game, not the retail.
And
Okay.
this one rubbed me wrong because they had it at Gen Con for Gen Con release with the Kickstarter version there, but they hadn't shipped the Kickstarter version to the Kickstarters. So it was very
frustrating. Did they ask for permission to do that, or did they just do it?
They just did it. And they didn't allow for pickup at Gen Con, which was a big frustration. It's like, it's right there. I can see it. I'm right across the hall from it. And I couldn't get it. Probably didn't help that I was dealing with Ravensburger's booth and they were
jerks too.
Yeah, they were complete jerks there at Gen Con. So, but anyway.
So quality pieces, standard dice, but I do like the color selection. Give me some purple. But they also have a pretty teal.
Yeah,
and then
the blue is it's an odd blue.
It's like a
more
sky
like
blue.
an aqua.
Yeah, it's not one you commonly see. It was kind of interesting. I mean, I don't mind it. It's not my favorite shade of blue, but I didn't mind it.
The yellow and
it's
the
a little
orange are
different.
pretty standard though.
Yeah, the yellow and orange is pretty standard, but I like the colors are a little bit different, and I appreciated that.
And they're not wood, so
they are
they're
actual
a little plastic, so more traditional.
Yeah. The workers, depending on the color, are shaped differently. They are kind of small, so for me, picking them up, hand gripping thing.
Well, what was interesting is this is almost one where you want the workers to be the same shape. The fact that they changed the shapes on them made it problematic because originally they had this bag that you were drafting them from. But because the shapes were different, if you reach in, you could feel the difference. They had to create this other rocket ship, which is kind of neat, and it works to be a tool to get the
you can't. It's hard to get the exact number out because it's like that Randy referred to getting Altoids or Tic Tacs out, and that's what it does feel like. So they all come flying out of your hand, so it's a little hard to control the amount. But it's still neat.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool that they made them custom, but it's almost a situation where they should have just left them the same in this case.
I really wish they were a little bit bigger. These are super duper
they're
small.
tiny.
They are small.
But it's a small board, so I see why they did that.
Well, no, but look,
they could have made the board bigger.
But look, compared to the loot is larger than the meeple by like double.
That's really big equipment because you're
no, I thought it was always perspective, Rob. You're just like a mile away.
Okay. The energy cube is as big as the meeple. So
this is because the Transformers use Energon, and it's the same thing.
And it's a toolbox anyway. It's not loot.
Okay. All right.
She thinks the maples are really little.
But yeah, when you look at it, these seem kind of chunky, and then you get to this itty bitty thing, and it's very hard to grip. So that was kind of a bit of annoying for me. The best thing out of the box are these beautiful metal badges that you get for completing the expeditions. I think we have some cardboard, so obviously this was an upgrade of some sort.
They're really pretty.
But they are
awesome.
spot on. Nice. They're super nice. They've got multiple shades.
It's like
going
a brass
on.
or a bronze color with the different color blue.
Yeah, it's almost like one of the nicest pieces I've ever seen in a board game.
Yeah, this is like Stonemaier quality stuff.
Like, these are legit.
But it's painted. It's multiple color paint on it. I mean, it's really cool. I wish there was like more games that did stuff like that, but then they would all cost like $3,000 if all the pieces were like that nice.
I know. So this was really cool.
Really cool.
The spaceship.
Yeah, it's actually peeling the cardboard on it, so it's not.
That's
the best.
still pretty cool.
It looks okay. There's 2 resin pieces that they produce, one for the event marker and one for first player. which is
Do we
really
even use it?
Well, you're supposed to move it around to show like which phase you're on, but you move through the phases so fast, it's really kind of superfluous.
Yeah.
So overall quality, I would probably give this a 7.5, knowing that a whole point was this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about the card quality. These are actually
yeah,
they got
a little bit of linen
finish.
finish.
Yeah,
to
they
it,
got a linen
so
finish.
Not just those, but the expedition cards.
You know, the other thing I forgot is these boards are inlaid.
Yeah, they're inlaid, but they're really
tiny,
and they're kind of chintzy boards. But on the event cards, they had one of the promos that they included for the Kickstarter. And this is another grievance I have with the Kickstarter. They had this event card packaged with a die and some of the cards for the other set to go in here. And the die was all in a bag together. So when I got it, there's a big divot in the card from where the die was. And it's like, that was just really poor planning to put a die in the bag with it. So now I've got an event card, which you can clearly tell is marked.
So what did you guys rate it?
I think I'm a 7.5. I really like the pieces. I do like how the individual meeples are shaped. And since we didn't use the bag, it wasn't an issue to me. I think the rocket ship looks really cool. I even played flying it around a little bit, making sound. So I enjoyed that part of it. So I'm a little bit higher at 7.5.
Well, that's where I was at, 7.5. But where were you?
I mean, given the fact that the event card being damaged is a real big beef of mine, and that the player boards are not as nice as they should have been, in my opinion. While yes, they are indented, they're barely indented. These are actually not as nice as the ones that came in the Terraforming Mars, which weren't the best either. I think I'm more of a 7 on it.
Okay.
I love the badges. The badges are incredible, but I think a lot of the other stuff pulls it down quite a bit.
Okay. All right. So moving on to theme. We're going on expeditions.
Well, here's the story.
I know there was a word.
The story. Europa, the frozen moon of Jupiter. It took decades to bioform this ball of ice into a place that can just barely support human life. But the effort was worth it to get to the great living oceans below. With the threshold energy shield holding in the warming atmosphere and the doorstep spaceport fully active, teams of stabilizers descend to compete for leadership of this hostile moon. The submerged cavern we call the Pocket conceals all the raw materials you'll need to succeed. The hidden oceans are warmed by thermal vents that teem with alien sea life beyond our wildest dreams. Build your colony under the ice, explore the surface and the seas beneath, and prove that you have what it takes to build this new home for humankind. The Artemis Project begins. So, that's what this story is. We're on a new planet. Now, I didn't see anything. I mean, maybe there may be other events that come up, but we saw nothing to do with that alien life. I mean, there was nothing that came up.
There's nothing that indicated that at all.
I didn't.
There was a lot of weather conditions. There was a lot of natural disasters. But I mean, maybe there could be in the event deck others. We only play with 6 of the events each game.
And there's
so
quite a few. There was at least double that.
Yeah, there's quite a few in the event deck. So there could be some.
I still don't think that the theme was very strong with this. I don't know.
I don't think it was very strong either, but it's there.
Yeah. It is there.
I mean, so
there's some jellyfish,
and there's we didn't go through all the expeditions, but it doesn't look like there's any alien related stuff on here either.
No, there was an alien jellyfish.
Well, there's one there.
So there's a little bit,
but it'd been cool to see more of that aspect in it.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely just felt like a worker placement, dice placement type game. There wasn't any feel of being sucked into this world at all.
Yeah. So, score.
6.5.
Yeah, I mean, the art's pretty. The board
that's why I'm giving it 6.5. The art's very nice.
Yeah.
I like the art at all. It just doesn't do anything mechanically.
I'll take that. I'll take a 6.5. I think that's fine.
That's probably where I'm at as well.
Okay. So moving on to rules, how was the rules? The
rule book was pretty good. There's a little bit missing as far as the cheat sheet should be. There's a cheat sheet on the back. The most important aspects are on your board, which is good because that's the one thing that I was concerned about with when you play these with the expeditions, which is one of the things you can do. trying to remember what color did what. Now, I would have preferred if they actually printed the names of them, because the cards referenced in many cases the names of the individual color pieces.
The Marines,
the Marines or the Pioneers,
right.
or and they're all colonists, but the cards didn't show pictures of them; they just showed the name. So it could have had the icon on the card; it would have been helpful, or had the names on the board. But instead, you had to look them up. Oh, okay, what's a Pioneer? Oh, yeah, it's the tan guy. You had to keep checking back to see. So that was a big miss. There was a few other references we had to check back during the game because they weren't clear as far as the iconography, but there was a nice section on the iconography in here for the expedition rewards, and then they had all the building tiles.
Some of the mistakes we made is because we couldn't read the board. Yeah. By we, I mean.
Yeah. Well, we fixed that, but yeah, all the buildings are explained in here. The rules were pretty straightforward, and they did have good examples in there. I'm probably going to give this a 7. Probably would have got an 8 if it weren't for the missing things for the iconography that I think would have been helpful, and especially the card references.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So moving on to gameplay. So gameplay is pretty straightforward. So event comes out, it's announced, knowing that at the round the event will trigger. You're going to roll your dice. For the person with the fewest resources gets to choose.
Which is a cool idea. I haven't really seen that before, where they get to choose who goes first. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I got to admit, there is a benefit from going last.
Yes. In this game, there is.
And there is a benefit kind of going first.
Yeah, it depends on the scenario, which situation you're in. But yeah, first or last definitely has distinct advantages.
Well, I have to say, I felt like I was losing, but not doing too badly. But when you went first, that really helped me because I was able to go exactly where I wanted and use exactly the right dice to get what I needed.
Yeah.
That block. Now, I wasn't intentionally blocking Randy. I was doing what I needed to do to score. There was a bonus to it, though.
Yeah, no, I really do think, and where you kept choosing to go first, I was like, I don't know why you're doing that. Randy had such an advantage. Yeah. Because he was screwing us up.
Oh, big time.
So bad.
But then you won by 2 points. I mean, it was a close game all around.
That's because I stayed pretty much in the middle the whole time. Like, I was always second player.
I think the middle is the worst place to be. I think, like you said, there's an advantage to going first, and that you can position yourself into, especially on the expeditions, into the first position. There's an advantage.
I think we need to explain why. Yeah. Because the reason why is because you put your dice down in the lowest number is going to go to the left.
Well, and then you go some of them.
On most of it.
Yeah.
And so you go from in ascending order. So when we're talking about the main board, you can really, it's very clear who's going to get to go first.
Yeah, the least greedy person gets to go first. But the problem is that if there's a bunch of less greedy dice, the person at the end doesn't get anything.
Right.
So it's pretty tough.
So that was the advantage of that. But then the disadvantage of going first was the expeditions.
Well,
because because I think the first person that got to go there, they were like, bam. But then you could go in and bump them out or just be able to negate them all together because you did a higher number.
Well,
and so there was a couple of times
more dice.
True, but at the same time,
you have
I
other
didn't
stuff
have that
to
chance.
do.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't really have the chance to do that. So it's like, I agree. There's advantages of first and last, but I would think it had to have been harder to go in the middle.
There was definitely some very hard moments, and Randy killed me multiple times by going last.
Yeah.
So really, you either want to be first or last, and you have to have a specific reason to do either or. Like, the first time I was like, I want to go last because I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out as I play this round. But then the next round, because of the event, I knew I needed to play first. Yeah. And so that's what I did. So I think situationally, you might want to choose to go last or go first. So I thought that was really cool. So after that decision is made, the dice are rolled, and then you start placement based on the order that was chosen. And again, we've already kind of talked about placement, each location. So when you go to buy buildings, the more you're willing to pay, you get the building. But with the resources, the smaller numbers get to go first, as does over the kit workers. Now, it's different over here for the expeditions. The higher number wins, but if you're lower placement.
Well, it's the summation of all the
summation,
dice that are played there. So they're all interesting because like the resource gathering or worker gathering is all based on the lowest, and then you trigger them all until you run out of resources.
Right.
So having low numbers is advantageous, but it's going to get you fewer resources. Right. Whereas the expeditions having higher numbers is more advantageous. And if somebody beats you on it, you got to play another die to increase it, or you can play when you play your dice, you can add these expedition colonists to it. So you can increase your pips, or you can trigger other benefits by playing along with the die. So I like that aspect of it a lot. I like the expeditions.
I really did. I did too.
And then, as far as buildings go, this is an auction system over here. I mean, each one of them kind of works a little differently. The auction system, you can play a worker or a die over there and play like a 1 and get it really cheap, but somebody can play on there and outbid you, and then you get nothing except for the consolation track, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that. So the consolation, again, if you don't get something, either if you spent the die and don't get anything.
Not by choice, but you don't get it because you got bumped
for no
out.
fault of your own, you no longer get a thing. You now get to go on this constellation track where you get different stuff. But there is an end to the track. So once the track ends...
There's only 7 spots.
Yeah.
So I maxed out pretty darn quickly. Mm-hmm. And so after that, I got nothing.
Yeah. Now... I didn't run out, but that's because I ended up going after less advantageous stuff because I was like, well, there's no competition, so I'm going to head over here for this thing. Mm-hmm. So there is some benefit there. You just really got to weigh your options. Yeah. Do you really need that thing, or is more actions really where you need to go? And I think there was a misconception of energy because of a rule we played wrong the first round.
Yeah, energy is super important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that was realized because I had a stockpile of it because no one was getting it. I'm like, I don't know what this energy is for, but I'm sure it's good for something later.
You need energy to get people, and you need energy to feed people.
Yeah, so...
Well, it's not to feed them, it's to heat them. So they don't freeze to death.
Which I guess is important.
Yeah, when you're playing in a frozen tundra, it's probably important to keep warm.
So yeah, and with that, so I think we pretty much covered.
Oh, we didn't talk about upgrading people. So that's another place you have 2 spots to go to. We didn't really use it to our fullest, I don't think.
I used it once because it was a victory point.
But the buildings have requirements for workers, and so you could upgrade them to be able to slot in the workers that you need to score your in-game victory points. But
I don't think upgrade's the right word. It's just change their occupation.
Yeah, because if I got more victory points for upgrading them, then I could see that being an upgrade. Mm-hmm. But you don't score extra points for upgrading. You just be able to slot them in the different spots on your buildings. Yeah. And so I agree. I don't know if upgrade is the right word for it. It's just...
career change. Yeah. Midlife crisis.
All lateral moves in the HR world. Just lateral moves. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So and then... one of the expansions that came with the Kickstarter were these directives, and I'm glad we played with those.
Yeah, I'm glad we played with those.
Because basically you got 2 of them at the beginning, and you could complete them at your leisure as you went through whenever you met the criteria. And then if you did complete them, you could draw a replacement 1 each round. So if you completed both of them, you'd have to wait 2 rounds to backfill both of them. But they really give you kind of targets to do on your turn. And some of them were pretty cool. I mean, like, if I got bumped out, sometimes I didn't mind. Like one time there was a mission that like required 11, and I sent 1 die over there just because I had to fail on a mission where it didn't succeed, and I just watched it go by. And
if I had to complain about it, some of them were pretty darn hard.
Well, I know,
and I wouldn't have known how to do it just because they're so difficult.
Yeah, well, it's send a 6 to the vents and earn 6 energy from it. Okay, yeah, right. Like. Yeah. You're not going to put a 6 on a food and get 6 food.
Well, if you're last player, you could. I mean, we saw that happened over here. Rob got 6 of those.
But that's not the vents. That's food.
Well, I know.
But he's saying the same thing could have.
If everybody's got a lot of the energy,
Well, it's like the first round I could have done if I gotten it, but I got the last round. Right. I'm like, there's no way that's happening.
I mean, I had one where I had to get 3 specific pioneer figures with 1 die, which meant I had to play a 5 or a 6, which meant I was going to go at the very end.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's a.
But it did add a little bit of complexity, and it was nice.
Well, you know what though? Actually, this actually made it interesting. So I don't know what it was about the game. I just didn't have as much fun. Maybe we played so good games earlier today, or what? I just didn't love it. And these cards helped drive some of the fun, because I was trying to figure out how to do these because they were kind of hard.
I don't know. I feel a little bit better about the game than I think you two did. I thought I had some interesting decisions and some interesting opportunities to make decisions. I really like the fact that how important the number dice is, how you place it, where you place it. It was interesting on that type of decision that you made. Like, do I put a 6 and risk trying to get a lot, but then get bumped off because everyone else put lower numbers? Or do I put lower numbers to get hopefully enough just to eke by what I need, but then risk not having enough at the end of the round, like what happened to me the one turn. I mean, I didn't have enough to feed, and I had to lose a guy.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I thought those were some really interesting decisions.
You know, the thing is, as we're discussing it, I realize what a lot of ingenuity the game maker did to make this, and it's really kind of a shame that I didn't have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, when we're talking about it, I'm like, you know, that's an interesting concept. That's an interesting concept. I don't know why the fun didn't get
maybe because
brought out.
There just wasn't enough theme behind it as well.
You like to be able to run your engine and not worry about what other people are doing. You like more solitaire type games, whereas this one was definitely a high player interaction.
Yeah.
Because you play somewhere and you may not get
totally
what you want.
It affects what everybody else is doing.
So
because I didn't mind it. I just wasn't in love with it. But I did think that there was a lot of unique mechanisms in here that I think there should be some credit to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look how you felt about Dune Imperium. It's a similar situation. This one is not quite as brutal as Dune Imperium.
Yep, I'm not playing that one again.
I'm just saying, you know, you absolutely despise that game. And it's one that gets really good reviews. I mean, and I was kind of meh on it. You enjoyed it a lot more than I did, but you know, I could appreciate its value. I think it's kind of the same situation with this game. I mean, you know, you didn't enjoy it very much. I'm kind of middle of the road, and you, I think, liked it better than any of us.
Yeah, I mean, if someone says, "Hey, let's play it," I'll be like, "All right, I'll play it." Yeah. But it's not like a turn off, but it's still not. Yeah. I'm not going to choose it off the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like it was a little bit fidgety. I felt like it was not quite.
It could be swingy.
It was more than just the way it played out. It felt like there was a little bit rough. Like it could have had a few more playthroughs and they smoothed out some of the kinks and it would have been a better game. I don't think it was bad. It just felt like a Kickstarter. And you know it.
But I'm not sure what you meant by.
I'm not even sure if I know what I mean by it exactly. It didn't feel. You know, it felt like it was a little rough. Is all. You know, it didn't feel like it was smooth. Like we played Clank previously earlier, and you know you can check out that review. It'll be up soon too if it's not already up. But yeah, that Clank in Space, I should say, and that felt smooth. It was a smooth, streamlined game. Well, don't ruin the review.
Sorry.
This one, it felt like it had a few jagged edges as we played through. It wasn't bad. It just was a little clunky. And I don't really know how to define that or describe it other than the fact that it didn't feel as smooth as some of the more...
I think what you're saying is it wasn't a seamless strategy. It seemed like, okay, everyone's focused on energy. Okay, we got to divert. It's towards the end of the game. We got to focus on this. I think it's because it's not like you can have your finger in all the pies. It was more of everyone's focused on one thing at once. And it seemed kind of jerky in the movements. Maybe that's kind of what you were feeling, because
maybe. I mean, there's definitely a lot. There's definitely focuses on at different points in time in the game where we all had to go for one thing, and it caused a lot more contention for that one thing, which is kind of the Dune Imperium feel, you know. But I didn't mind it as much in this as I did in Dune Imperium.
That's because I think.
But I think there wasn't.
Dune's brutal.
This one was definitely not a point salad. There was only a handful of ways to score, and they were very low scoring. It's a low scoring game.
It is.
Until the very end, and then everybody.
But even then, I mean, Miranda's high score was 37.
Well, yeah, she would have fallen off the board if you're a little bit further. So I don't think you're intended to go too much
right.
further.
And that's, I mean, I think you're right about it being a low scoring game. It's meant to be low scoring.
But as a result of that, I think there's not a lot of variance between strategy at the end as far as the scoring, and it felt like, okay, you get all these endpoints at the scoring at the end, but it's like, okay, everybody gets 2 points for this. Okay, everybody gets 3 points for this. We all, it didn't change the outcome hardly at all. I think you were 2 points ahead of me. Rob caught up, I think, quite a bit.
I was 4 ahead of you.
Okay, but in the end, we were 2 points.
Yeah, I did the most catching up in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. And I think that maybe is what you're feeling, because there's one strategy we were all kind of doing the same thing with some variation, but really it was kind of the same feel to it. So
I could see you not liking it as much just because it's not a point salad game.
Yeah.
That's definitely what you love.
But I mean, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed aspects of this a lot. And I liked the expeditions a lot. I liked the way the resource pieces worked. I thought it was a cool mechanism. I don't think I liked the workers as well. I think that I think they could have done more with that. That felt a little wonky. The fact that you could place them when you got them on the buildings, but then you go and move one afterward, I thought felt a little forced.
Give it a score.
I think I'm probably at a 7 on this. I've been teetering between 6.5 and 7. I think I'm probably going to lock in at a 7.
What about you?
I don't know if I'm an 8, but I like a little bit better than a 7. I think I'm a 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm 6.75. Like I tell.
So you're not that far. I mean, I thought you sound like you were way low on this.
I think you were thinking a 5 or something.
See, here's my thing.
I was thinking 4 was where she was.
No. I'll play this again. No. There are a lot of good mechanisms in this. I just didn't have fun. Like, that enjoyment factor wasn't there. But the aspects of a good game, I feel like if you like Dune, you will like this game. Or I think you should at least try it.
Dune Imperium.
There's
lots of Dunes out there now.
Okay, Dune Imperium. I think you should give it a go. Because I do think it has some of this, but not as much ferocity. So maybe if you like,
and you don't have the deck building that's in Dune Imperium.
Yeah. So, but I do think, but it's not for me. It's not my favorite. But I think it's okay. I think they did a good job with what they had. It's just not my cup of tea.
I think it's a solid game.
So I mean, I do. I think it's a solid game. I just don't think it's my game that I'm solid with. So that being said, I had fun, guys. Hopefully you guys did too. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.